This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
From Mary here, the noob subscriber here. Question: do you think January 6th committee will ever hold Trump accountable? See, this is an interesting question that gets asked a lot by listeners and by audience members, and there is really nothing to hold Donald Trump accountable for relative to the January 6th committee. They don't have any prosecutorial power. The January 6th House Select Committee is a legislative body to investigate what took place, what precipitated, and what took place on January 6th in order that they can write legislation to prevent it from happening again and from buttressing the security setup of the United States Capitol, their workplace, to make sure that if it does happen again, they're more prepared than they were last time. So their job is really to gather information for a law writing perspective. Now, if they do forward on a criminal complaint to the Department of Justice and have a criminal referral, as it were, that would be up to the Department of Justice that does indeed, obviously, have prosecutorial power to hold Donald Trump criminally, legally responsible. Not just Trump, but the satellite of ding-dongs that orbit his giant, fat, greasy head and who are also in it up to their necks. So thank you, Mary, for the question. Appreciate it. Scott Jensen, do you think it's possible Trump has already granted himself a pocket pardon? If so, will it hold up? No and no. I don't believe that he has granted himself a pardon. I think that's more like, remember during Donald Trump's administration, the 25th Amendment kept coming up over and over and over. And it was just like, that's never going to happen. That's not a thing that's going to happen. I believe the pocket pardon talk is kind of along the same lines. And I am not a legal scholar. I am not a legal expert. I am just an observer of politics and someone who's been involved in the system from time to time over the years. I don't believe it would hold up. Even if it were a thing, I don't believe it would hold up. Stephanie Rocher. Jesse, what are your thoughts on 45 announcing a presidential run and how it could affect the DOJ announcing a criminal indictment against 45? X 45. Thank you for that. That's what I like. I think the earlier he announces, the better for strategery sake, to pull a George W. Bush word, or probably a Will Ferrell making fun of him word. For strategic reasons politically, I think it would be great the earlier the better, because then the race would become about Trump and not about other issues. Then the race could really become about Donald Trump and what he looked to do when he installed 3 separate fascist court jurists, 3 justices on the Supreme Court who single-handedly reversed 50 years of court precedent and stripped away women's autonomy, bodily autonomy of reproductive health care. We could really make it about that. We could hone in on one single thing. The economy would evaporate relative to importance. And how would I think it would affect the DOJ? If I'm taking Merrick Garland at his word, I don't think it would affect. I think that they're going to go ahead with, I'm believing Merrick Garland when he says they're going to go as high as it needs to go. No one is immune. Everyone is accountable. I'm going to take him at his word because I have no other choice but to. So I hope that answers your question. Robert R. Do you think Trump will be reelected and pardon himself and friends before courts can touch them in the USA? Well, with a presidential pardon, I don't believe a president can pardon themselves. And it wouldn't matter if a court were to touch, if he would do it before a court could touch a defendant. Because remember, a court touched Paul Manafort, a court touched Roger Stone, and they both have been recipients of presidential pardons. So it doesn't matter whether a court gets to them first. A presidential or gubernatorial pardon just erases all of that. But again, I don't think that a president can pardon themselves. And I think there's a lot of legal scholars and constitutional experts who would agree with me. Becky Becker. Do you think someone in the Trump White House requested the deletions of texts from the Secret Service, DHS, and DOD? So this is a great question. I think that it is likely that there was communication, whether that be explicit or implicit, but they definitely communicated, look, we need to protect this day. We need to protect the communications around this day, even if that means deleting, even if that means putting ourselves in legal criminal jeopardy. Because if we find out there was a conspiracy to do this, then there is criminal conspiracy charges which carry with them like 10 years apiece. Which begs the question, if they were willing to face 10 years in jail for deleting them, what information is there that they deleted? What's so bad that they were willing to face criminal charges? That is, that's the question. It's very scary. Thank you, Becky. It's a great question.